What is cracking, guys? JP here again, bringing you another update of my 90-gallon reef tank. So, in today's video, I'm just gonna talk about some corals, some fish, and everything else, like chemistry. So, starting with the corals, every coral that I fragged from 2 weeks ago actually is doing pretty great. Some of the acropora well, actually, all of them are encrusting, to be honest. So which is a good sign. All of them are growing pretty nicely. You can still see some of those nice tips. Let's go to the side here. So yeah, you can see some nice tips. So pretty good. So that's a good sign. The weird thing is my frag rack and the frag plug, there's only a couple spots that are greenish right there, but everything else is still kind of whitish, but they're actually kind of purplish. You can see a lot of coral and algae growing on them, which is, that's a good sign. So yeah, pretty good. Corals wise, everything's doing good. My mushroom I've attached to the frag plugs, which is good. A lot of these corals are pretty happy. Where I cut off, it's already started to grow some little tidbits, which is good. So yeah, there's the stylo right there, was cut off on these three ends right there, and it's already grown over. And then purple acropora doing pretty good. Yeah. The cut up piece right here, so you can kind of see already it's already grown over. You can see some polyps and it's very green already. So hopefully there'll be a little new tip. Everything's doing pretty good. This is coloring back up. So that's a good sign. Yeah, pretty good. Next topic is fish. So recently, about 2 weeks ago, I did lose another blue-green chromis. Can't find it anymore because it was very skinny. I think this fish had tuberculosis and they just started wasting away, and they're kind of semi-blind. Especially that one right there, you can kind of see it's really skinny. You can really see the top, very skinny. But the one is still pretty chunky, but there's no bullying, which is a good sign. But like I said, these fish just got infected with tuberculosis, and that kind of weakened their immune system over time, lost their eyesight, just basically couldn't find the food, so they just started wasting away. So yeah, they're just getting old. They're about, I would say, 4 years now or something, or older. I think they got infected from the new fish, blue-green chromis, the new batch, and then the old fish has got the infection. So, oh well. Hopefully soon I'll get some more blue-green chromis, but as of right now, probably not right now. Shrimp are doing pretty good. All of the other fish are doing pretty good. Someone asked about my royal grama on how I keep two of them at the same tank. So the story is, when I went to my local pet store, they had a royal grama, two of them in the same tank, and they were the only two fish in that tank. So I just watched there for a good 30 minutes and just look at them and how they behave. And they were living together, and they were, living peacefully, not fighting, not biting each other. So I got them, and then I started them on a 40-gallon. They live in a sponge filter, the middle section just taken out. And they actually laid some eggs and spawned. But initially, they were fighting and bickering in the first year or so. Just the small one just opening its mouth to the big one, and then the big one would just back off. But after that, after the year mark, they just kind of been very peaceful with each other and just live together pretty nicely. I seen them spawn many times, and then that's when they get more aggressive with the other fish, or it gets more territorial. Yeah, basically just make sure you get them at the same time, and already like kind of paired up a little bit. So they might bicker for the first year, and then the dominant one will be pretty good. The funny thing is, the small one is the boss, right there. That royal grandma is the boss, the small one, and the big one usually likes to hide, and it will just shake to its head, like that. And then the big one will like come closer, and the small one will like open its mouth to come back to the hole. But yeah, pretty good. They said as long as you get them at the same time, they should be good. And make sure you get a nice cave for them because they like caves. Said that my most seen clutch of eggs were in a sponge filter, the middle section, and they would just go in there back and forth. And one time I was cleaning my tank and I saw these eggs, and I know these were the royal grandma eggs. So yeah, he said when they get spawning, they would become a little bit more territorial, so which is pretty normal. Pretty cool and nice fish. You don't see a lot of fish tank have two royal grandma at the same time. Yeah, they like their rocks. You can see that big one shaking its head, and that small one just like I don't care. Small one just hanging in there with its fins on the rock. Pretty cool. Not even swimming. Yeah, they like their caves. I initially had two firefish. The other one just got egg bound or something, I think, and then just died off. I was kind of sad, but they were a pair. I got them at the same time too, at the same tank, and they were like I said, the pair, just like the royal grandma, the same local pet store. And I don't know, just never. It came out one day and it was all infected, and the belly was all torn apart. So, and it was pretty big one time, and just never, I guess, laid eggs and just died. Now I just have this one. It looks like it's happy. Still all out and about no matter where. So I initially had two Bangay cardinals, but the big one didn't like the other one because they were both males. So that was bad luck. I couldn't tell which one is the male or female because when I got them, they were still pretty tiny. So I couldn't tell who is who. The same way of my yellow silver belly wrasse, I got three of them. One died to bacterial reasons. The other one actually was a sad story. It died inside a hollow aquarium decor in my quarantine. And then after a week, I found the body, which is kind of sad inside because it was kind of smelly. So, man, that was kind of sad. My Tomini Tang, I only got one because it was a pretty hard find. Actually, my local pet store couldn't find the fish for many months, probably 5 months, and then after 1 month ago, 1 month, not 1 month ago, one time 1 month, I found a local like a state over, and they had a nice Tomini Tang, so got him quarantine and went pretty good. Yeah. Smallest tang that you can get for a 90 gallon, I think. That's relatively cheap. And initially when I added them in, Royal Grandma didn't like it, but the Tomini tank can hold on its own size or temper against them, and they were living together. After a good 1 month, the royal grandma was realizing, so this fish is not gonna kill us, so they were okay with it. So yeah. All right, on to my chemistry. I finally did pretty great. Alkalinity was 8.4 and went to 7.7, so added 1 teaspoon, went to 9 DKH. Then 8.9, added more minutes on the doser. And then 8.85 on February 8. And then today is February 12, and it was 8.6 to 8.7. So it's basically stabilized. So that's just good. Every week I would drop. Before, it would drop about 1 DKH, and then today it didn't drop, which is a good sign. So yeah. Coral and algae is doing pretty good. Like I said, after I scraped some, they are basically growing on the top of the glass. I scraped some on the back. On my overflow, you can see some coral and algae there. Yeah, they're growing on the top of the glass. That's a good sign that you have a nice chemistry balance for your reef tank. So if you don't have coral and algae growing on top of the water line, then something is missing. But once you have coral and algae growing on top, you'll be fine. Other algae wise, every time a coral, I need to cut that off. It would grow like some green hair algae, and then it would get covered by cyano. So green hair algae, which is pretty typical. In some areas I couldn't reach, so there's still some hair algae. Got some bubble algae there. Yeah, nothing too crazy. You can see some coral and algae growing in between where I can't scrape. And then some areas where there's a lot more nutrients. I got some cyano right there. Yeah, some tips of the corals where algae used to live or it was dead. Cyano would be covered that, but hopefully in the next few months, the coral will cover that dead area. Green algae is still alive, I think, back there. Oh, looks like it's actually diminished. There's not much anymore. There used to be a bunch right there. Wow, something took care of that. So that's good. I got a bunch of Pocillopora popping up everywhere. So there's one right there. Yeah, they're everywhere. I need to either use Kalkwasser and just nuke these parts. Yeah, they're everywhere. There's one right there, and there's one right there. Aptasia wise, for the past, there used to be one Aptasia right here, and I used super glue like a lot, and just basically entombed it. And you can see the super glue is already taken over by the coral and algae, which is a good sign. And every week I always look around to see if there's any Aptasia. Because if you find one, there's always more. But so far nothing, which is a good sign. Because if you can stop an Aptasia from the very beginning, then they usually don't spread. I used to have a frag plug, and I looked around like one of these zoanthids frag plug, and I saw little bits of Aptasias popping out, like maybe 5 of them. So I knew that zoanthids wasn't very nice looking anyway, so I just chucked it. So, all right. Well, that's it for the video, guys. Thanks for watching, and happy reef keeping. Adios.